Okie dokie.
Okay, it's it. I think we're live. What is going on, everybody? It's Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, one part of the Xbox 2 podcast, and with me, as usual, the man who wants Microsoft to bring back. I think we're
Clippy.
live.
Clippy?
What Cortana? He wants to replace Cortana with Clippy, the one and
that's right.
only Jez Corden of Windows Central. What's going on, buddy?
Pretty good, man. How are you? Did you see Mark? Did you see the cool twist in that article?
I saw the article. I didn't get a chance to read it because you told me about it right before we're starting the podcast. But
Okay. Well, you should check it out later.
let me answer this question real fast. How long did it take you to come up with that idea of replacing Cortana with Clippy?
Well, it came about because Microsoft announced last week that Cortana's losing her ability to play music and do all the sort of, smart assistant stuff, and that should be focused more around productivity. I was just kind of thinking, well, that's basically Clippy, isn't it? So then I wrote that article, and then our web guy put like a little Clippy thing on the article. I don't know. I just thought it was funny. I got a warped sense of humor.
Yes.
But, that's a whole other story. We're here to talk about games.
That's
not
right.
Clippy, not Cortana.
We were to talk about games, talking about, what else are we going to talk about? Xbox, PlayStation. We're not going to talk about Nintendo because who cares, right? Am I right, guys? Am I right?
But Rand, it's the month of Animal Crossing.
You're going to get me Animal Crossing, right? That's your type of game?
Hell yeah, I'm getting Animal Crossing. Are you not getting it?
No, I'm definitely not getting it. And no, I'm not doing.
so
I'm not
cute.
doing a charity
It's so
stream
cool.
for Animal Crossing. Never. I'm done.
Never
Never. No. No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Okay.
So,
We'll see.
yeah, we're gonna obviously talk about the Series X enhancements that Phil Spencer kind of mentioned. We're gonna talk about E3 2020 if it's safe because the whole virus thing. Which, by the way, Jez, I don't know if you know this. You can't say the C word on YouTube, so don't say the C word because YouTube.
You can't say the C
no,
word?
it is complete. If you use the C word in a video or in a title, like the videos don't get sent out, the videos don't get any advertisements on it. Like YouTube is doing YouTube is doing their hardest to kind of suppress any videos that mention the virus.
That is weird. I guess there's like a lot of misinformation out there about it, but that seems a little bit drastic.
Yes.
I don't know.
So
Whatever. No C word.
So we'll just say the sickness or the virus, and not actually have to say the C word because
Get down with the sickness.
yeah, YouTube's just screwing everything up. But I just want to shout out everybody in the chat. We got Darj Knight, we got Gunstar, we got Dizzy. Now Dizzy, he is one of the the lords at Iron Lords podcast. He's not on the podcast, but he writes for lordsofgaming.net. He had a fantastic article the other day. I don't know if you read it about living with cancer.
Oh, wow. No, I didn't.
Yeah, you should definitely go check out that article. I actually kind of was getting a little emotional while reading it. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
So shout out to Dizzy. He's doing good work over there. Sean Labrie, the man of the hour. I posted my intro that Sean's been working with me for like a month. Over a month, and I'm sure he's probably like, God, when is Rand? Just say you like it, Rand. Just say it. I've been revising it so many times, and he finally, finished it. Found some great epic music. So if you guys are looking for any like artwork, intros, all that stuff, well then Sean Labrie's your man. In fact, we have a super chat from Sin Vendetta that says, Jez, were you disappointed that Rand didn't have a Pokemon in his new intro? Were you disappointed, Jez?
A little bit.
A little bit, just a little. You knew there was going to be no Pokemon intro. There's going to be no Pokemon in there. There wasn't a Nintendo character in there. I specifically...
I will say, Rand, it is odd to me that you're such a huge fan of Ori, when Ori's basically a Pokemon.
Ori's better than every Pokemon ever made.
But look at him. He's literally a Pokemon. He's little, furry, cute amalgamation of different animals. He's a wannabe Pikachu. That's what Ori is.
He's a wannabe Pikachu. We'll see about that. We'll see about that. But no, so I there's So I was working with Sean on that, right? And I said I wanted I wanted the slot machine to like kind of like hit 1 million, and obviously Sean put that together, and I'm like, it'd be cool to have like awesome games flipping in the background like the slot machine. And he's like, well, give me a list of games that you really like. So I gave him a list of games, and I made sure there was not, the only thing I said was no Nintendo games on that list.
Do you like literally hate all Nintendo games? Like even Metroid? Like if there was a new Metroid announced, like Metroid.
No,
Prime
Metroid
4,
I'd be excited for. Metroid I would definitely be excited.
What about Star Fox?
I never play a Star Fox. I don't care.
Ah, mate.
I know.
You had a deprived childhood, man.
Yeah. I just don't care about Nintendo. So that was great working with Sean, and he just told me earlier today that he has an intro that he was working on for the podcast. So I'm sorry I don't have any gameplay up for this week. I didn't get a chance to kind of record anything. I'm sorry. But next week we'll have the new intro and we'll have gameplay every single week going forward. It's just I didn't get a chance to record anything. So with all that out of the way, Jez, I figured, let's talk about what you've been playing, because I saw a tweet from you that said, "Hey, this Final Fantasy VII remake is sacrilegious."
Yeah,
it's sacrilegious.
It feels sacrilegious. Like I'm like Final Fantasy VII is an important game for me. It's the game that sort of made me realize gaming's more than a toy.
Ooh, you're botting pretty bad.
Oh really?
Yeah,
That's not good.
You're like mechanical right now. You got like a little mechanical tinge to your voice.
Yeah, 230 milliseconds. Mate, what's sounding now?
Oh, look at that! It's like
I'll try reconnecting.
That's the problem when you're he's in Germany. I'm all the way, or actually I don't know. Is he in the UK right now? I'm not really sure. Hello?
One sec. I'll reconnect.
Okay. And I'm all the way here in the United States in Illinois, and hopefully he gets back and everything's good.
Is that any better? Oh man, still better.
Yeah, you're still botting. You're like Johnny 5, as Dizzy says in the chat. Johnny 5 shutting down. Uh-oh.
Okay, so I've got 160 meg down.
There you go.
I got 160 meg down on my connection, so it's Discord's fault if it's screwing
It's always Discord, but you sound good now, Jez.
Discord was down earlier. Did you see this?
I wasn't? I didn't see that, no.
Yeah, like Discord had an issue with its cloud provider, so for a little while. So there might be still issues. I don't know. But we'll try and work through it. If it goes crazy again, then you'll just have to ramble by yourself for a bit.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, so I was talking about Final Fantasy being sacrilegious. So like Final Fantasy VII is important to me. It's important to you as well,
yes,
right?
Yes, it is absolutely 100% important. It's one of my favorite. I mean, it is that game. Like that is. How do I describe it? Like, if I were to say my top 5 like games that define me as a person throughout my entire gaming history, Final Fantasy VII Remake would be literally 1 or 2. Or Final Fantasy VII, the original. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's for me. It's like there's only a few games that I can say have like changed my life or affected my life, and one of those is probably World of Warcraft, as you know, and then the other is probably Final Fantasy VII. You know. There's not many games I can really say have changed the way I see gaming, you know, and Final Fantasy VII is one of those. So like the whole sort of arc and the coverage about Final Fantasy VII, I sort of like haven't been paying much attention to it, partially because I'm not going to be covering it because we don't cover PlayStation for my job, and partially because I'm scared that it will be bad. I'm scared that it'll be bad, and I'm scared that it's just a cash in. I'm scared that they're just sort of profiting from the name and they've run out of ideas, and Final Fantasy 15 wasn't that good. And they just sort of like, hit the emergency button and it's like, oh, let's remake Final Fantasy 7, because people said they should do that for ages, right?
Right, yeah.
And, I the whole episodic thing, I'm concerned about that. Like, are we gonna have to pay full price for like bit different chunks of the game? Like, how is all that stuff gonna work? Like, how much of the game are we actually gonna get? Is it gonna be like 5 hours long or 6 hours long and stuff like that? And they know people will pay for it because it's like so much nostalgia and whatever. And I was also bothered about the fact that they'd like gone for an action-oriented combat system, because the quote-unquote action-oriented combat system in Final Fantasy 15 was a joke. I'm sorry. Like, Final Fantasy 15 has the worst combat system of a AAA game in recent memory.
I personally think. Really?
It's awful. Like, it's awful. It's just terrible. Like, the combat system just didn't make any sense. It looked pretty, but it was just like, just awful, you know? Like, the fact that like the AI just went off and did all their own stuff. It felt like a half-baked version of Dragon Age Inquisition. You know, it felt like they wanted that kind of combat system but couldn't fully commit or something. I don't know.
So those were your basic concerns going in, but you played it, and how do you feel after playing it?
After playing it, it kind of shut me up.
Ooh.
Because I actually really liked the combat system. I thought it was really well done and satisfying. And Cloud, like, the way he uses his weapon is like feels heavy and it feels solid, and like the way you build up like ATB bars and then you can spend them on like abilities and spells and stuff like that. I thought that was a very good way of doing it. And also like the fact that you can actually switch to other characters, which you couldn't do with Final Fantasy 15 at launch, which I believe they did eventually patch in. But you can do that straight away. So you can just flip between Barret and Cloud on the fly, which feels great. And, you know, and the demo is sort of like that very first part where you go down into the Mako reactor and do the bombing run and fight the Scorpion tank thing. And the Scorpion tank boss is like stunning. Like, the set pieces in that boss fight are really well done. And the graphics, mind-blowing on the PS4 Pro. The music, really well done, like reimagined and like, but still nostalgic and all that stuff. All the camera angles, like, you know, that sort of like pan up to the Mako reactor and stuff like that. Those iconic moments, they just sort of, all my doubts were sort of like washed away, and they sort of got their nostalgia hooks in me, and now it's kind of like, now I just kind of need to buy it. But
you need to play it on the 10th.
This whole episodic thing's still bothering me, though. I kind of want to know how much we're going to get in the first part. How long we're going to wait for the next part. And part of me's kind of thinking, like, should I just wait and play the complete thing? Because it's gonna bug me, you know.
When's it ever going to be complete? Because that was the thing I was thinking going in. It's like, I want to play it really badly because it does look really good. Like I said, Final Fantasy VII is one of my favorite, it's one of my favorite games of all time. I don't normally like playing demos, especially when the real game's, a month out. It's like, do I spend an hour playing the demo and then just play the same hour, a month from now? It's like, I'll just wait. I don't need to be sold on the Final Fantasy VII Remake. You know what I'm saying? The thing that bothered me was the same thing that bothered you. It's like, Midgar is like basically 10% of the main game. And it took them how long to even release this one? So it's like, are we looking at 3 to 4 years until Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 comes out, and then 3 to 4 more years until the third part comes out, and who knows if they can even finish in 3 games.
And that's the thing. It's kind of like I'm thinking, like, is there even going to be... Honestly, this information might be out there. I just haven't been following it because, I've been thinking this is sacrilegious. I don't even want anything to do with it. But this information might be out there, and, like, people can say if it is. But, like, what are we even going to get in Part 2? Are we going to get... Because, like, what happens at the end of Midgar is that, obviously, you go onto the world map, and then it's, like, open world, almost. And it's kind of like, are we going to get that gameplay? Or is it just going to skip ahead to the different segments? Is it going to be sort of linear-ish, like Final Fantasy X? Like, how are they going to do all that stuff?
I don't know. It's pretty crazy. But you know what?
And
I
like
want to play
that was one of the cool things about... Yeah, that's the same thing, though. Like, after experiencing that now, I kind of, like, just want to experience it now. And but some of those elements that were just sort of... really cool about the original. How like you could just explore freely on the world map, and like it was still you still had to go in a sort of linear direction. It's not like you could like take on different quests at different times, except for like a couple of parts. But like there's lots of side objectives to explore on the main map, and also like loads of secret bosses in the end, the sort of towards the end game, like Ruby Weapon, hunt like Chocobo breeding, so you could get like Knight of the Round summon and all that sort of stuff. I just like want to know if those experiences are going to be in the game, or if they're just sort of retelling the story for a new generation, which is fine too, I guess.
Right.
But it's just kind of like when you're so close to something, it's hard to be really objective about it. And I'm sort of kind of glad that I'm not reviewing it with that frame of mind. But I'm kind of glad that I have the option to play it.
Yeah, I'll probably check out the demo. I thought about recording the demo and putting the gameplay up, and maybe that's what I'll have up for next week. But I'm definitely playing it on April 10th. I can't wait. I know it's 1 year timed exclusive to the PlayStation 4. I mean, no other platform has been announced, but it's like exclusive to like April 11th or April 10th, 2021. And at that point in time, you can probably assume it's definitely coming to PC and more than likely Xbox. Probably Xbox Series X, probably Xbox One. I'll play it again on Series X. I mean, apparently it runs well and it looks pretty damn good on the Pro, so...
It run like it
even though it's 30 frames on the Pro, you know, whatever.
It looks great on the Pro. It really does. You know, like the Pro is like it's impressive because like obviously the Pro is on paper less powerful than the Xbox Series X, but some games just look really good on it. Like Monster Hunter, like I got Monster Hunter World on the PlayStation as well, and it looks really really crisp on the PS4 Pro. It's a good system.
Yeah. We have noisy. We have Spider-Man saying, breaking, Ori has been canceled due to the virus. Nah, man. Nah, 7 days. 7 days for Ori. It'll be here. I'm predicting a 90-plus meta for that game, Jez. I'm predicting... Me and Jez were talking before the show, and I was like, you know, Ori is going to be the best game that Microsoft releases this year. And he's like, no, Wasteland and Minecraft Dungeons and all this stuff. And I'm like, Jez... I'm like, critical reception, Ori's going to score much higher than any of those games, and probably Halo Infinite too.
Honestly, I think Minecraft Dungeons could give it a run for its money, man.
Nah. I mean, I'm not saying Minecraft Dungeons is bad, because it looks like a competent Diablo clone, but I don't see... Because I'm expecting like Ori for like a 92 meta. That's like kind of my prediction. I don't think Minecraft gets that high. I would see Minecraft maybe like high 80s, you know, mid 80s, something like that. But definitely not canceled. And Menopio says, so when do you guys think the Xbox will get the demo? I'm assuming you mean for Final Fantasy VII Remake, and a year from now, maybe?
Yep.
We're like when the exclusivity, you know, goes up on the PlayStation version.
It's going to be a long time, I think.
Yeah. So that's, you know, I'm going to get the game next. And it's funny because next month, April, you have Resident Evil 3 Remake, and then 7 days later, you got Final Fantasy VII Remake. 2 remakes in a row, and they're probably 2 of the best games of this generation. I mean, of the year. I mean, because you're thinking about, like, I was thinking about this the other day.
Crossing, too.
Well, it's like, so game of the year for 2020. Like, you can already shoe in Cyberpunk 2077 and The Last of Us Part 2, right? I don't even need to play those games. But you already know they essentially have 2 of the slots, right? And at that point, it's like, you know what? Would you be surprised about Final Fantasy VII? It seems like there's a ton of positive press, positive impressions on the demo. If they knock that out of the park, you can swipe in Final Fantasy VII Remake. You know, Resident Evil 2 got nominated last year. Could Resident Evil 3? I don't really think so. But, I mean, that's like 3 there. If Ghost of Tsushima is really good, that's a possibility. If Halo Infinite knocks it out of the park, that's a possibility. I think Ori is going to get a nom because I think Ori is going to be ridiculously good.
It's a pretty stacked year, isn't it, really?
Yeah, Doom Eternal. You know,
Doom Eternal.
I think that's going to get...
Crossing?
Like Nintendo, never count them out. It's going to be a big year for games. And then whatever's, you know, announced at the end of the year, right? Like, we still don't even know any of the games coming out.
Watch Dogs 3?
Nobody cares about Watch Dogs Legion.
I do.
I mean, I'll play it, but it ain't getting no Game of the Year nomination. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it'll win a BAFTA. You watch.
It'll win a BAFTA.
Just because it's set in Britain, it'll probably win a BAFTA. But I want to play that just because it's set in Britain.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, you know what? While everybody's here, while we're just kind of BSing, make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe to the show, follow me and Jez on Twitter, and make sure you guys share this out as Google doesn't do a good job of that. And I'll talk about what I played. I played Sayonara Wild Hearts. Now, I did a review about this when it hit the PlayStation and the Switch last year, right? It finally came to Xbox. This is one of my favorite indie games, not only of last year, but of this year, and of the entire generation. I'm not kidding around. When I
need to try that, right?
Yeah.
That's the game, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought about so I was thinking about, I need to record something from the podcast. And about an hour and a half is a good length. That game's only an hour long. So I was like, I don't want to record the whole game and show it on the podcast. But it's like a music rhythm. Like I've explained it before, but like my God, it is so good. And I'm close to say it's a masterpiece for what it is and the genre it's actually in. Sayonara Wild Hearts is amazing. And if you guys haven't played it, whether it's on Xbox or Switch, PC, Apple Arcade, because I think that was like the Apple Arcade game when that service launched last year. Check out Sayonara Wild Hearts. The soundtrack's incredible. It's kind of a endless runner where you collect hearts to get your score up. It's so freaking good, dude.
Is it just addictive or what?
It's not as addictive as say Thumper, because Dark Times has said Rand play Thumper, and I have played Thumper, and Thumper is really good. So it's kind of like Thumper in that way. But God, it's so good, and I needed to like make sure everybody knows that again. Like Sayonara Wild Hearts, play it. I know it's a little bit expensive for an hour long, but it's such a good game, man. Like I love it when great indie games come out because they don't come out all the time. You know what I mean? And I really want you to play it, Jez, because I want you to experience it. It's only an hour.
It's on Game Pass?
No, it's not on Game Pass.
Oh.
We have a question from Elementopio for you, Jez. Jez, so did you find out if Xbox is confirmed for Tokyo Game Show 2020?
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't.
You did not.
I'm working on it, though, so bear with me, basically.
Yeah, so we don't know yet, basically.
It's weird, because that was like a rumor, right?
Yes, there was like articles saying it was confirmed, but I didn't really see anything confirmed from Microsoft. I don't really know.
Yeah, it's an odd one. I'm digging.
Jez always digging. He's always digging for stuff. He needs those leaks. Leaks. Yeah, so I mean, what else you been playing anything else? I know you really like 2 Point Hospital, wherever that game is, right?
Yeah, I've been addicted to 2 Point Hospital on and off. Like it's a really addictive. I don't know if we talked about it before, but I won't go into it too much because it's pretty like self-explanatory. It's a hospital simulator. You build a hospital, you have to run it, you have to like manage all the patients, you have to research the viruses, and we won't mention the virus.
Like such a Jez game. You love this, like surviving Mars and surviving the aftermath and Frostpunk, and now 2 Point Hospital, which is basically the same thing, isn't it? It's just kind of.
It's kind of the same thing. Like I'm actually, as we podcast, I'm playing surviving the aftermath too, which is like it's in early access and it's like apocalypse simulator, my kind of game, I just find them really relaxing. Like, I play like if I want to like play something intense, like I'll do some raiding in WoW or play a shooter or Battlefield. Which, by the way, Battlefield 5 announced that it's reverting its like controversial weapon changes from
the
before
time to
Christmas.
kill stuff.
Yeah, so they've reverted all that now back to the way it was before everyone quit, which is hilarious. So that should be like playable again soon for anyone who, enjoys Battlefield. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I've just been playing a lot of WoW, a lot of 2 Point Hospital, a lot of Surviving the Aftermath, and that's it. Final Fantasy VII demo, and I was looking at jumping back on the Division 2 because that got a big update expansion sort of deal.
It did.
Recently.
It did. It's back in New York, right, for the Warlord update or upgrade or whatever. Or expansion.
Yeah, it's in a different area. It's like, see, this is the thing I was confused about. I thought they just reused the areas from Division 1, but it's actually like a completely different place. It's like Lower Manhattan with new areas, and like, because the Division, you know, has been put their focus on Washington DC, and all the old factions from Division 1 are now super powerful and taken over New York, and you have to go and sort them out. So I might try and give that another go again. But I tell you, like, the thing about Division is, like, I just find the setting kind of dull. Like the whole military realism thing. I really wish it had zombies or something unique.
Isn't Division just kind of like an amalgamation of all the Ubisoft games? Like, they're all like the same to me now. Like Ghost Recon Breakpoint is Division in the jungle, and like Division is that in a urban city, and then you have like Assassin's Creed, you know, which is very similar to that, but like ancient times and like I know Ubisoft, you know, basically is breaking up the monotony. They talked about that, but man, they just started making everything the same. And Division's a solid game. Like I played through the campaign. I did a lot when it first came out. But I have no interest in continue to go on. Like, that style of, like, play me forever. Like, I always, when I get on my Xbox and I see, you know, like, a Gaming Forte and Luca and Cognito, like, every single day playing Destiny, I was like, that could never be me. But shout out to them. Like, I'm not saying anything bad about any of them, because I love Luca, and I talk to Cognito all the time, and Forte's awesome. But they are playing Destiny like it's like their life depends on it. You know what I mean? And like that's cool, because I mean I was addicted to PUBG at one time. I put 1,000 hours into PUBG over the course of a year and a half, so I understand. But it's just like, that's just not, I don't know, like it works for some people, but it's just not for me. So like Division being that type of game, it's like once I'm done playing through the campaign, I don't care about grinding to increase my stats little by little and getting like, oh, now I got purple weapons now and gold weapons, and yeah, and you know, like, and I can play it on the harder difficulty setting and all that stuff. Like that is just not me whatsoever, you know?
I mean, I get it, you know, but I'm sort of the same way. It's like I look at Destiny and think, I know that game's just not for me. But then I play World of Warcraft, which is a sort of similar gameplay loop, you know, getting incremental updates. Like every Wednesday in WoW, there's like a server reset, and then you get like your weekly loot chest, and it's like Christmas. It's like, oh, what am I going to get in my loot chest this week, you know? And everyone logs on and they're like, oh, I got crap from the loot chest, you know? It's like Christmas every week. It's addictive, I guess.
Yeah.
It's also like, you know, it's relaxing. When you like, you can feel yourself getting better and more powerful. You get addicted to that aspect too. And I guess it's the same in Destiny.
Yeah.
It's just kind of chill.
The Gunstar says, what will be more expensive, antibacterial hand gel or Xbox Series X? By the time the Series X comes out, what's going to be more? Dude, I've seen pictures of people going crazy and buying up all the tissues and like toilet paper. Like people really are, you know, with the virus and everything. Can't say the C word.
Can't say the C word.
Yeah. It's
like that in Germany too. Like my girlfriend's mom was saying how that everyone had gone crazy and bought all the toilet paper and there was none left and stuff like that. Even in Germany where there's not that many confirmed cases yet. It's, oh man. And, can't say the C word though.
Yeah, Element Appeal has, last question, boys. Will you guys try State of Decay 2 Juggernaut Edition now that the game has been redone? So we didn't talk about that last week, but State of Decay is getting updated. It's going on in Steam. I know you really like State of Decay 2, Jess. So you going to try Juggernaut Edition? Get back into State of Decay?
I really do like State of Decay, and I really feel bad about this, but I don't actually know what's different in the Juggernaut Edition. I thought it was just like a bunch of DLC or something.
I think
they're not fundamentally changing the game.
I think they like graphically upgraded the game. Like I've seen like before and after screenshots of it. I need to actually. I should probably be writing about that. But it's like it's one of those things that sort of slipped by my radar.
at the moment. I actually did play State of Decay 2 this week. A little bit briefly. Have you tried that since they added like the extra difficulty?
I have not.
It's like it's harrowing. Like the higher difficulties are like genuinely like scary sometimes.
Yeah, so QW Vampire says new map and new missions and updated graphics.
New map, new missions, updated graphics. I mean, yeah, I'll definitely try it. But like as I say, I don't really know that much about it.
Yeah.
I just sort of like I played the hell out of it when it came out. I put like 150 hours or more into it. And I just kind of like got to a point where I was like, okay, I've had enough of this game now. I haven't really touched it much since. I play it on and off here and there. It's the kind of game that I wish I had someone to play with, but like no one I know really likes it. But maybe I can convince my brother or something to play Juggernaut Edition with me. But yeah, I'll check it out and then maybe talk about it next week.
Yeah, so before we move on to the topics, I kind of just wanted to reminisce really quickly about the PlayStation 2 because today is its 20-year anniversary of launching in Japan. PS2 for me, like when I think like my favorite consoles of all time, right up there with the 360. Do you have any memories of the PS2? Like getting, I know like it came out in Japan on March 4th. And I want what 2020 or was it? Yeah, 2000, right? It was 2000.
Something like that.
When did you get your PS2? Because I got mine when it came to North America later on in the year.
I honestly can't really remember so much about when I got it. I remember getting them like because I had siblings too. We used to end up getting every console because like one sibling would get one console, another sibling would get another one. And I think the PlayStation 2 was mine. But I was playing a lot of PC games at that time. I was playing Unreal Tournament religiously at the time. And I actually didn't play that many PS2 games compared to what I played on PS1. I think like I played like obviously, I played some of the bigger games like Code Veronica and Silent Hill 2, Final Fantasy X, and stuff like that. But I actually don't think I played that much of PlayStation 2.
Man,
it's more like my brother. It's more like my brother's console. Like my brother had like loads of like obscure Japanese RPGs like Shadow Hearts, which is a really cool
Shadow
game.
Hearts
By the way,
is amazing. I love Shadow Hearts. Oh my god. Now you're bringing me back, Jazz. Now I'm going on a nostalgia trip right now because I'm just thinking of like we got a PS2 and I remember playing. Do you remember the game called The Bouncer by Square Enix?
Never. Oh, like, rings a bell. And
yeah.
I just didn't have that much money, so like I couldn't buy that many games.
God, that system. I mean, you talk about like third-party exclusives. I mean, they dominate. Like I just remember playing on the PlayStation 2. It was like Metal Gear Solid 2. You know,
oh yeah, Metal Gear Solid 2.
Devil May Cry, the first Devil May Cry. They had Grand Theft Auto 3 being exclusive for a while, like that before it ever came to like Xbox or any of that stuff. Which I remember getting my mind blown when I first played Grand Theft Auto 3. Like I didn't think that was possible. You know, God, like Final Fantasy X when they added like voice acting.
Oh god, the scene where they're laughing.
They're
though.
laughing, yeah. I mean,
maybe they shouldn't have added voice acting.
Yeah, maybe they shouldn't have, right? Yeah. God, there's so many great experiences from the PS2 to think about, and
yeah, I was playing a lot on PC then. I think I missed a lot of PS2 stuff at the time. I was all over PC at that point, playing a lot of Unreal Tournament 2003, 2004,
Kingdom Hearts 1. Jack and Daxter. I love Jack and Daxter. Naughty Dog before they were Naughty Dog with Uncharted on the PS3.
I can't even really remember many games.
Ratchet and Clank, like PS2 is such a great system. Anyways, I figured we briefly just kind of talk about that. I mean, it had great RPGs.
I tell you one thing I remember about PS2.
What?
How many of them we went through?
Yeah. I had the same problem. I think I had 2 die on me.
Oh, the PS2 was great for fighting games too. Like I'm looking at a list now to try and jog my memory. Like we played a lot of Tekken back then, and man, See, I missed a lot of these games. I'm just looking at a list to try and jog my memory. Like Max Payne, like a lot of these games I played on PC, like Max Payne, and then I suppose some of them were on Xbox as well. But the original Xbox wasn't that big in the UK. At least I don't know many people that actually had one. But
shout out to Kofi. He says Shadow Hearts Covenant was incredible. Yes, it was.
Yeah,
Shadow Hearts is a series a lot of people don't know, but like I love Shadow Hearts.
It's like basically a horror. Like if Silent Hill and
Silent Hill 2. Yeah. Oh my god.
If Silent Hill and Final Fantasy had a baby, it'd look something like Shadow Hearts, maybe.
Yeah.
The classic Hitman games too.
Yep. Like I said, like the PS2 was just an incredible console, and the 360.
We played a lot of Roll Cage. Do you remember Roll Cage?
Vaguely remember
like a racing game.
But there's a lot of people that don't like the PS2 because it essentially destroyed Sega and the Dreamcast. You know?
Oh, well.
SOCOM, yeah, SOCOM 2. Like, a lot of people are saying their favorite games in chat. But, like, yeah, I like the PS2 right up there for the 360 for me. So, with that reminiscing out of the way, we're going to jump into the topic. So if you guys are enjoying the show, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. And, where do you want to start? We'll start kind of small first, and we'll work into the way of the Series X and the PS5 leak. Another one that was proven wrong. Amazing. These freaking PS5 insiders, these PlayStation insiders don't know shit, Jez. They don't know anything. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. Halo 1's on PC. Announced yesterday. It's out now. What do you think, Jez? Are they going to have all the Halo games out before Infinite releases at the end of the year? Or are they going to have the big ones out? Like Halo 2 and Halo 3 before Infinite. Like, what is it, March? I think Halo 2 will definitely be out by then, right?
I think, like, they'd have a job to get all of them out by then. But, like, who knows? It's it might be a case of maybe they've sort of gotten into a flow now and it's a little bit easier for them or something. But I don't know. I didn't expect that sort of came out of nowhere, didn't it?
Did what?
Halo CE just dropping out of nowhere.
Yeah, Halo CE just dropping out of nowhere was kind of just random. Just random.
Dropping out of nowhere is like Microsoft's MO at the moment.
Yes, that is very much true.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know if they can get them all up by they probably can't, right? I would imagine.
I don't think so. I think Halo 2 will definitely be out by the end. Halo 3, maybe. I guess it depends on when Series X comes out. But I doubt ODST will be out, and I doubt Halo 4 will be out in time. But then again, is anybody going to care about Halo 4? I mean, I don't think most people care about... I think when it comes to Halo, people care about Halo 1, Halo 2, and Halo 3, but more like Halo 2 and Halo 3. See,
that's weird for me, because Halo 4, like, is the story I remember the most, the ending and stuff. That was moving, man. I'm telling you. But yeah, I get it. You know what interests me about this whole Master Chief thing? Like, what is 343 gonna look like when they're no longer burdened by this massive task to bring all the Master Chief Collection along? Because you've got to presume that a lot of resources have been lost to the Master Chief Collection, right?
Yeah.
And if all those if after that's all said and done, and I know they're using like a lot of like other studios to help contribute to the Master Chief Collection project, but all the 343 staff that are contributing to it, after they all move on to like Halo regular, like, isn't that gonna be a good thing? Like, do you feel like Halo Master Chief Collection has been kind of a burden? I kind of feel like it has been.
Yeah, but I don't think 343 is really doing any work on it. It's just who's the studio that's credited with working on? Is it Splash Damage? Is it it's
not Splash
Sumo
Damage,
Digital? I forget which studio, but like I don't think 343 is the one doing the heavy lifting.
Fair enough.
I mean, I could be wrong on that, but I mean, I guess I don't know. Isn't 343 like 500 or 600 employees or whatever?
Pretty big.
I mean, I know, like, porting these games to PC is a task in and of itself. They're old and whatnot. But I don't know how many people are actually working on it and how many people are working on Infinite. But it's nice to see people like enjoying Halo again. And then like when Halo 2, because I think people were just really, especially on PC, like, oh my god, like Halo's coming to PC. And I think obviously when Halo 2 comes, because for me it's, Halo like kind of starts with Halo 2, because I didn't play Halo 1 until 4 years later. And then like Halo 3 was like, I kind of spent so many hours, lost so much of my life to Halo 2 and Halo 3. And I think for a lot of people, that's when like Halo became it. You remember when Halo 2 and Halo 3 came out? Like the lines for like the midnight releases.
Nah, you see, this is during like my hardcore PC years. I missed a lot of this stuff. Like we had an Xbox, and we only had Halo, and we only sort of played it. Like me and a few friends used to play it locally, but I never really played it online or anything like that. Like when Xbox Live launched, so I missed a lot of this stuff. I blame MMOs. Final Fantasy 11 was pretty bad. Did you ever play that on the 360?
I did not play Final Fantasy 11. No, sorry, Jez. MMOs just aren't my thing, man. They just aren't. Gunstar says, "Is Halo Infinite do or die for 343i?" So what do you think? Is Infinite do or die for them, Jez?
No.
I think it's.
I mean, everyone talks about like Halo's in trouble, blah blah blah. Like Halo 5 made serious bank. It's not like Halo 5 was a flop, a catastrophe, or whatever. And like, yeah, you can credit the microtransactions to some degree, but it's not like the servers are dead. It's not like you can't get a match in Warzone and stuff. People play that game still, so I don't think it's do or die. And obviously, Halo on PC has been pretty massive.
I think it
needs it. It'll be bad if it sucks. It's going to be bad for the brand, sure.
I think Halo's at the cusp of kind of regaining some of its former glory. I don't think it'll ever retain it all. And I think if Infinite's great, then we will see a resurgence of Halo. If it's not, then we just won't. And Halo will continue the slow decline that it's been experiencing over the years. So if you ask me, like Gunstar says, is it do or die for 343? Of course not. But I think it's do or die for like Halo's momentum. Like you're at a point now where I can feel the momentum that Halo has. And you want Infinite to be amazing. And if it is, Halo's going to blow up again. It's going to blow up, right? People are going to be talking about it. People are going to be playing it. But if it's bad, then people will be like, 343 can't do anything right. And people's hype level for that Halo and then whatever else they do next will just continue to just decrease. And it'll just decline like Gears has been declining.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's got to stop. It's like you need to Halo. I'm hopeful that Halo Infinite's amazing. I want it to be so bad. I want them to nail both aspects of the game, multiplayer and single player story. I got my fingers crossed, but yeah. So Brad Sams, is he your arch nemesis? I would call him arch nemesis, arch nemesi. He put out an article last week, Jez, that said Xbox is working on PC streaming with xCloud that is very, very similar to GeForce Now.
Oh.
GeForce Now has been in the news a lot lately because developers are like, yo, you want to stream your game for free that you bought? No! Sorry, not doing it. What do you think about that whole situation?
Well, it's funny because like the news broke on the Long Dark being the dev of the Long Dark saying that he asked Nvidia to remove it. And then we had some people on Windows Central saying, oh, the Long Dark dev's anti-consumer, blah, blah, blah. They should let people stream their games. But I'm kind of like, no. I'm kind of like, it's not about letting people stream the games. It's more like allowing Nvidia to use someone else's product to further their GPU dominance without permission. Like, it'd be one thing if Nvidia let you like run it off an AMD card or something, or like out of the goodness of their hearts. But they're not doing it for that reason. They're doing it so to lock you into their ecosystem and be anti-competitive. And like to do that, to use someone else's product without their permission, I think that's kind of scummy. So I'm sort of in the camp of it should be up to developers. And if Nvidia wants to use someone else's product to further their goals, they need to either pay up or ask permission or offer a cut or something. Because like,
well, what about the people that say it's my game and I bought it and Nvidia's just providing a virtual machine for me to play it? Like, people will say that's just like, it's just another way of developers, Well,
Nvidia should let people do it off AMD cards then.
They don't? No, probably not, yeah.
Well,
I mean, I don't know, like, I don't know much about this, so I'm going to keep quiet, but isn't this more of, like, the difference...
Maybe I'm wrong and they do. Like, maybe they do let you do it off AMD cards, I don't know.
The difference between, like, a personal license and a commercial license? Like, is it different because you have the personal license to play the game, but since Nvidia's offering it, they don't have the commercial license to? I don't know. I don't really know, but do you... it's not so much about GeForce Now, it's about Xbox. You think Xbox is you think they can offer something like GeForce Now with xCloud? I mean, they are on the PC side. They got everything going with like Xbox Game Pass on the PC. If they can get that working, would that be a big thing going forward?
Well, Microsoft's been like, I'm sure Windows Central's written about this before, but like not for games, but for like Office apps and even Android apps and stuff. Because one of the problems Microsoft has always had is delivering its services that don't support Windows. You know, like they're struggling right now to get like Windows working on ARM processors and stuff like that. And like one way you can get around that is to stream those programs from like a Windows server from the cloud, you know, to a like sort of a local client or whatever. So like this is obviously something Microsoft's been thinking about, but I don't know. Like because Microsoft obviously wants to make low-cost Windows devices that run on ARM chips, and one of the downsides of that is that you can't get Steam. Like if you like on the Surface Pro X, for example, you're not going to get any Win32 games on that. So like the one way you get around that is stream it from the internet, and obviously xCloud is going to be coming to. Obviously, xCloud is going to be coming to Windows soon, but a lot of those games are designed for Xbox. They're not designed for PC. So what about those games that are designed for mouse and keyboard, like the Surface Pro X would be expecting? It makes sense, right? Like if I can stream like, I don't know, 2 Point Hospital with a mouse and keyboard to a Surface Pro X, or like even a Surface Neo, which is like going to be running mobile chips, that'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, I think Microsoft can do it. I'm just not sure it's going to be like GeForce Now, where it's like you own the game, you'll be able to stream it. Microsoft seems very, like, I guess where GeForce Now screwed up is they didn't get permission from developers. Where like I know Microsoft behind the scenes, and they've talked about this, they are always making sure like, hey, we need your permission to get games in 360 back and pat, to get games streamable on xCloud. Because if we don't know, we assume that a lot of games, or a lot of people talk about xCloud in the streaming, and they assume that like every game, Xbox game, will be streamable via xCloud, but that's not written into the contracts originally. So Microsoft then has to go back and get permission, be like, yes, we know this distribution agreement is for the console, you know, we want to put your games on xCloud. You need to get the permission for that again. And people would say, well, I own the game on Xbox, I should be able to stream it. But like Microsoft doesn't have the permission to provide that until they get the legalities behind it. I think that's where GeForce Now screwed up.
I think for me, it's just cheeky, you know. It's just really cheeky of Nvidia to just be like, oh, we can just do this. We can just do this, you know. For me, I just find that to be cheeky. And like I know like some people think that, well, I own the game, so I should be able to do what I want with it. But it's not about that. It's about Nvidia furthering their brand, because it's not called your game streaming. It's called Nvidia game streaming. It's called GeForce Now. You know, they are using other people's content and creations to further their brand without permission, and that's just cheeky, in my opinion. I don't think they should be allowed to do that. So I side with the creators and the devs who feel like they're not clearly not philosophically opposed to it. It's just the way Nvidia's gone about it, in this sort of presumptive, we can do whatever we want because we're Nvidia sort of way. I don't like that. And I think people should push back on that.
So I see a couple comments here. We got one from Show Shady that says, it's a new license for streaming. Xbox will have it included in your game's release on Xbox from now. And Sub-ZX, my brother, he says, that's only true for Xbox One games, not of Xbox Series X titles. Like, I know the idea that a lot of people have is that for Xbox Series X and Xbox Lockhart and all that stuff, that Microsoft will mandate it that if you build the game for the next generation platforms, that we also have to stream it. But what if Ubisoft's like, nah, son, we got to deal with Stadia? Is Microsoft going to be like, well, then you can't put Assassin's Creed on our platform, sorry? Or EA's like, nah, we got to deal with over here, or someone has their own streaming platform. I'm not entirely convinced that it's just like, if you're making a game for Series X, then automatically it's agreed upon that it's streamable via xCloud. What do you think about that, Jez?
Yeah, that's not really Microsoft's MO. Microsoft, they tend to be, at least modern Microsoft tends to be quite flexible. And I think they realize that they've got a lot of competition in this space right now. So, if they start to try, I'm sure they'll probably try and, lock down streaming exclusives. I'm sure that's on the cards. But, I don't think they're going to stipulate you have to give us a blanket license in exchange for being on the Xbox.
Yeah, I think the only thing they're going to mandate is, if you're building on the Xbox, you need to support Lockhart and Series X.
Yeah, I think that's basically it.
That's pretty much it. Anything else is, going to be gravy. So this was a topic, but we got a question from Face on here. What's your thoughts on Control being on PlayStation Now before Game Pass? Didn't Phil allude to Control being on Game Pass? So PlayStation announced yesterday that Control and I believe Shadow of the Tomb Raider were coming to PlayStation Now. They're going to be available for till end of August, which is it seems like PlayStation Now, they were doing 3-month runs of games, especially of their own. Now I think Control and Shadow of the Tomb Raider are 6 months engagements, and it seems like seems like PlayStation Now is trying to get more recent games into the service, so it looks like there's a lot more competition brewing between Game Pass and PlayStation Now, which means obviously prices are going to go up. Some of them we've heard through interviews with developers that Microsoft basically, if they want you in Game Pass, they also want exclusivity in Game Pass, where if your game's in our Game Pass and you're taking our money, then you can't be in another subscription service like Apple Arcade or PlayStation Now until that agreement is over. But I don't know if that's true for every game. It's probably not. But Phil did come out and he did say, that Control was going to be in Game Pass. People thought that he may have misspoke, that he didn't actually know. Personally, I think he thought it was already announced, and because he announced it, it kind of broke the deal between both companies, and it's quite possible that they went to Sony and got a new deal, a better deal with them before it ever shows up in Game Pass. What do you think about the competition between PlayStation Now and Game Pass heating up and Control going to PS Now first, Jez?
Well, I don't think they'd just do it out of spite. I don't think they'd be like, oh well, Phil did this, so let's spite Xbox and go to PlayStation. I think there's just some kind of screw up, something went wrong, and that's that. I don't think there's much more to it than that.
Let me ask you this though: if PlayStation really gets more into the subscription service stuff, like, they seem to not really care so much about PlayStation Now and getting new games for the PlayStation 4 on PlayStation Now until, like, recently. But if they're amping up their investment and they're going for bigger third-party games sooner, how does that affect Game Pass? Because Game Pass has been the one
competition's good, right?
Well, competition's good. It's also going to drive up prices for Xbox. Because now you have two people competing in the same space. Three people. I mean,
well, theoretically, you've got Google Stadia and probably Amazon in the background making deals too.
Google Stadia, theoretically, yes, that's very good about Google Stadia.
Google Stadia is a walking theoretically right now, but Google has a lot of money, and you can't really count them out. But it is what it is, and competition supposedly is good, and you'll get like Microsoft and Sony potentially in bidding wars, but that's kind of good for us because these are huge corporations, and that just means more money for devs, and hopefully that leads to better games. So as a consumer, you would hope that it's going to be a good thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But it could also go the other way. It could also be like, maybe it means that one consumer loses out. Like if you're an Xbox fan, maybe Sony lands a really great deal with Ubisoft to have all of its games. Just for example, this probably would never happen, but like maybe PlayStation lands a really good deal with a publisher you really like, and that means those games are never going to be on Game Pass on Xbox, for example. And like that'd not be great if you're an Xbox fan, but it'd be great if you're a PlayStation fan. But then it comes back to Microsoft. Like, what can Microsoft do for us? What have you done for us lately, Microsoft, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's gonna end up being a situation where it's good that Sony's getting in on this because for Sony, because Microsoft's going to be pushing this whole Game Pass thing really hard as marketing with the Xbox Series X. It's going to be like, well, you get the Xbox and then you can get all these games as part of a relatively cheap subscription. Like that's a really good deal. The only difference is Sony hasn't yet committed to putting like God of Wars and Last of Us's of the world into their service, and that's because they presumably sell really well at retail. But Microsoft takes a different approach and says, well, these putting them in Game Pass actually leads to more sales at retail, according to Microsoft. And that's something they've said numerous times in interviews. Don't know how they're measuring that, but, you have to presume that if it was not working, that they wouldn't do it. Because it'd be bad business, right?
Well, even like Game Pass today, they announced that coming next week is Ori and the Will of the Wisp, which is a day one, which is going to be amazing. It's probably going to be the highest rated Xbox exclusive. It's probably going to be the best game Xbox put out this whole gen. That's just kind of my take. NBA 2K20 as well is coming to Game Pass. And I think I forgot the other game. But it definitely seems like that the subscription service war is definitely going to heat up. I think Sony's going to go really hard on that and lead up to the PlayStation 5 and beyond. I mean, they've talked about it in their press, like investor relations and their graphs and stuff about how like they want to attack it. So it's like these two, like I think Sony was more waiting on to see like maybe the financials of what Microsoft was doing, and they see that they're having success and they're like, damn, we need to get in on this too, so it's like they cut the price, and it's like people want to play God of War and their PlayStation exclusives, so they started putting those in there. I don't think they'll put their games in the PlayStation Now day and date anytime soon. Like, I don't think that'll happen until, like, the end of next generation, if at all. I'm pretty sure it was NBA 2K20. I think it was the brand new one. Or maybe, was it last year's NBA 2K? I'm not sure. I think it was the one with Anthony Davis on the cover. I think that was the one. I think that was, is that this year's? Yeah, I think so. Because it would have came out last year. So yeah, like, subscription wars heating up, which is only good for us, I guess, and we'll get bigger and better games. Now, Microsoft, if Sony's really doing that, Microsoft's gonna, like, they can't just rely. Well, Game Pass has got this. Like, you're gonna have to cut some deals and do some things you maybe weren't expecting to. But, Jez, I'm gonna talk about this really. I don't know for how long. Okay, I know we still got the Series X enhancements that Phil Spencer talked about in the marketing stuff. But the thing I want to talk about is these PS5 leaks. Okay.
Oh dear.
So yesterday, March 3rd, we were supposed to get a reveal of the PlayStation 5. It was supposed to be 13.3 teraflops. Right? You had people saying, Kojima's teasing something for next week, Rand. Right? Square Enix is teasing Final Fantasy VII stuff for next week, Rand. Grand Theft Auto and Rockstar, they're teasing stuff for next week, Rand. I'm like, okay.
That voice?
Yeah, whatever. That's just my fanboy voice, whatever. You know what it is. Giant Bomb. Rand, did you see what Giant Bomb said on February 18th? Right? And it's like they like, oh, what's the internet like? And they had all these like people making videos, and you get on like Reset Era and like, oh, it's coming, all this stupid shit. And I'm sitting there like, none of this stuff is true because none of these guys know a goddamn fucking thing. None of them do. None of them know a goddamn fucking thing about anything that's going on.
It's really annoying because like every time there's one of these sort of fake leaks. Like people on our network, because now obviously we're part of a much bigger network. They get hits, and then people are coming to me like, "Jez, why haven't you covered this latest leak?" And I'm trying to say like, because it's bullshit. And they're like, "Well, look at all this traffic our competitors are getting on it." So then, we have to cover it. It's really annoying. And can everyone just stop doing it? Why do they do it? Like forum clout? I
get why people want Sony to come out and tell them what the PlayStation 5 specs is. I get that.
Yeah, fine. But right? Why are people... My issue is, why are people just lying?
Because people want that 15 minutes of fame, that section where people are talking about them and the Reset Era next gen thread of fucking garbage. That thread is garbage. Have you been in that thread? It's literal cancer. Reset Era next generation thread. It's a fucking cancer. That thread should be nuked from that website.
Oh my god.
Those people, geez, don't even get me started on those people. Every single day, new pace. Oh, did you guys see the pace pen leak? The PS5's 14.2 teraflops and all this bullshit. Like, none of these people, whether it's any of your favorite Twitter personalities or your favorite PlayStation YouTubers, know anything. And it's been proven that they don't know a goddamn fucking thing about the PlayStation 5 and what Sony's doing. And yet every single day I get, look, and the reason I get kind of, and I'm not really angry about it, it's more like I'm just raising my voice because it bothers me, is because every single day, people send me all this stuff. And I just sit there and I'm like, it's not true. None of it's it very well could be the PlayStation's 13 teraflops. I don't know. I've said all along, I don't know anything about the PlayStation specs. But nothing's happening. I don't know. The entire month of January, all I heard was PS5 reveal in February. It was February 5th until it wasn't. Then it was February 12th until it wasn't. Then it was February 19th until it wasn't. And then it was February 29th until it wasn't. Then it was March 3rd until it wasn't. And the current one is there's a reveal tomorrow. Fucking tomorrow. These people aren't even waiting. You know when it's going to happen? It's going to happen whenever Sony feels like it. I think it happens in April. I think by the end of this month, you hear something from Sony. They'll send out invites, whatever they're doing, and they'll have a PS5 reveal sometime in April or early May. Right? But I don't know anything about that. I'm not claiming that I know because I've heard this stuff, but like, stop it with this PS5 bullshit. And then did you see the other leak yesterday? The PS5 fishbowl? Did you see that thing?
Yeah.
Did you see? Like, are we really looking at that thing and thinking that is something that is realistically be made for a console? Goddamn fishbowl? Goddamn astronaut helmet? Just what is going on? And then you have all these websites covering this bullshit because, like you said, people are looking for PlayStation news, and if your competition's covering
desperate for news, they're desperate for it. They're super desperate for news. And like, it's crazy. Like, one of the leaks we covered got like 250,000 hits. One of the quote unquote leaks. 250,000 hits because people are so desperate for information about this stuff. Even though we're like, this is probably not true, guys. It's just like
the Ravenflow
says I will say this, right? Mm-hmm. Sorry, go on.
Well, the Ravenflow says Rand gets bent over Sony rumors. It's starting to become a thing. I just get bent over dumbass fucking... I get bent over people that proclaim to know something when they clearly don't. Like, that's the whole part of me. This whole thing here is every single day there's new information and a new reveal date with new stuff about the PlayStation. And it's clearly people that don't know anything. Right? But people still will send me what they say in DMs like, yo, this guy hasn't been right once. Once. And you're still believing him? Like, what is wrong with you? Stop bringing this shit to me. Like, I'm looking forward to the PlayStation 5. I'm looking forward to the games they're making. I'm getting it day one. I don't really care what the PlayStation 5 specs are. But I'm not the one saying, like, here comes, oh, guys, February, we're going to have a reveal. It's going to be amazing. I know what's happening. And when it does, they fucking disappear with their fucking tails between their legs because they've been wrong. And they've been lying about having secret Sony sources the whole fucking time. God damn. These people. Jesus Christ. Yeah, you know what? I wish the PS5 was a goddamn fishbowl. That would be hilarious. Imagine if it was really a goddamn fishbowl.
That'd be interesting. It'd be bold.
It would. That would be bold. I'll give them that. That'd definitely be bold. It'd definitely be bold. Like, goddamn. I know.
At least it'd have good cooling if it was that shit.
And I know something's gonna happen. Like, eventually Sony will do stuff like whatever. They'll do something. But I'm telling you, none of these fuck faces know anything. So stop sending me whatever they fucking say because it's not true. It's not fucking true. God damn, now I'm swearing. Now I'm gonna get demonetized by YouTube. God damn it. God damn it. These fake PS5 insiders. God. None of them know fucking shit. Anyways. Speaking of PlayStation, and we talked a little about Stadia. Did you see that Stadia opened another new studio and actually stole the head of Sony Santa Monica to run it?
Yeah, I did.
That's pretty interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like I keep saying, Google has a lot of money, and you can't count them out yet. Like everyone says Stadia is a joke, but you can't count them out yet because they've got money to splash around, and they're serious about this stuff, man. They are serious about it. Now, will they execute? Will they manage to pull through on it? I don't know, but they're gonna try, and theoretically, Sony has all the parts in play. They've got a massive platform in Google Search and YouTube where they can promote Stadia. Like every time you open the YouTube app, they tell me to install YouTube Music every time. And like, I'm never going to install YouTube Music, but I bet a lot of people do. There's no reason why they can't do that with Stadia 2 down the line when it's ready. And, they have those platforms in place and they have a lot of money. And this is just the start, man. There's gonna be more of this. There's gonna be more poaching. There's gonna be more stolen studio heads working on Stadia games. But Microsoft's stolen a few people of his own too.
Well, yeah. So they took one of the combat designers. His name is Dean Reimer, who's now the lead combat designer in Exile. And I know you're really looking forward to what they're doing. So here's the thing about when you create a game as good as God of War. Right? And I know maybe some people out there don't like that game. I personally think it's right up there with Red Dead Redemption as like two of the best games to come out this generation. When you make a game that good, yeah, there's people that don't like it. There's some Xbox fans who won't give any credit to Sony whenever Sony, does something good. But right, like when you make a game that good and that's that respected by your peers, like people are gonna like. Other studios are going to come for the people responsible for that game and offer them tons of money. Like, Microsoft's already done that and gotten a lot of people from Sony Santa Monica to join them with the initiative. Clearly, Google backed up a Brinks truck to the head of Santa Monica to get her to join that studio, right? Like, people are just like, we want to make a game as good as God of War. We need to steal the talent. And like, okay, here comes the money. And Sony Santa Monica, they can't They got a budget too. They don't just got an infinite check, right? So like, you can't pay everybody all this money. So it's like kind of just people just go to different jobs because, hey, if Sony Santa Monica, you're getting paid like $150K and someone comes in with like, we'll pay you $300K or whatever it is, whatever the money, like you're going to leave, like maybe you're just tired of working on God of War and you want to do something different and you want to make your own mark, So it's pretty interesting. Although the person they hired for the new studio head, she seems like a pretty good hire. And that's the other thing, like, where's the new studio head for Coalition, Jez? Like Sony Santa Monica loses one the same day and then appoints a new one that same day. What's going on with Gears? What's going on with Coalition?
I don't know. Maybe they're still looking for the right person. I think like Gears needs. We've talked about Gears before. Gears needs something probably special to move it forward. So maybe they're just looking for someone who's got a specific skill set,
Maybe.
Or maybe they're like working through a really complicated deal. Maybe Phil's asking Satya to open his checkbook and poach someone from Rockstar, maybe. I don't know. Don't know, man.
Well, okay, so since we're on the topic of the Coalition, Phil Spencer tweeted out yesterday that he was at the studio and he was, seeing what the Gears team was doing. He got a demo of Gears Tactics, which, Jez, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your hype level for Gears Tactics?
It's pretty high, especially when I saw that you can see the crit modifiers straight on the screen. It's like, oh my god, that's like amazing. That's my kind of game, It
is. I know that's your type of game, and I think a lot of the PC guys will love that game. I'm a little disappointed that it's coming to console later. I wouldn't be surprised if it came to Series X, like at launch maybe, or maybe the next year. But he talked about Gears 5 and the enhancement that it had, and it seemed like he had two TVs side by side. You think they're adding ray tracing to the Gears 5 version for Series X, Jez? That's what I got from it, and more than that. How many games of Microsoft's backlog are they going to update for Series X? Because I don't think there'll be that many exclusives, like new games, exclusive-wise, from Xbox at the launch of the next consoles. But I do think they'll try to make it so, like, Sea of Thieves is updated and looks really good on Series X, and Gears 5, and obviously Halo Infinite.
I think all the games...
like Forza Horizon 4 or whatever,
All the games on Unreal Engine probably relatively... I don't want to say simple, but like probably easier to get ray tracing working on. So like, and also believe it or not, Gears 5 actually has ray tracing already on the Xbox One in some very limited segments. Like, some of the parts in Gears where you notice the graphics and stuff. Like there's a part in the forest, right? Mm-hmm. That actually uses some limited ray tracing. Just because like it's designed. There's nothing else going on, so they can pour all the processing power the Xbox One has into ray tracing for that single scene, and then take it away again. And you remember those scenes because they look more vivid. But then when you're back in the combat situation, you don't really notice anymore. So like they did use some limited stuff there. I believe we talked about that in one of my interviews for Gears 5 back in the day, but. Yeah, I think you're going to see like a lot of these games get ray tracing, and we've seen the Minecraft examples of how like ray tracing can just add dynamism and depth to even simple looking games like Minecraft. Like it can elevate them like with relative ease. Like you've seen the Minecraft demos, right?
Yes.
And they're working with NVIDIA to get ray tracing in the Java edition of Minecraft on PC, and presumably they'll bring that to Xbox Series X2 in the future. So, yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of games get updated. I'd imagine like Sea of Thieves is an obvious candidate, and then you've got like, Gears, like you said, the Forza games, obviously. I think like, I don't know, could State of Decay get updated? They seem to be doing like a load of work on State of Decay. And that game does, believe it or not, have a passionate, active fan base. Like the subreddit's really active. So maybe they could add it to that too. I don't know.
It seems like we have a run on sex bots in the chat, Jez.
Sex bots? Oh, sweet.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to hide these. Any of the mods listening, if you see any of these sex bots in the chat, just hide them. Hide them.
Why have we got sex bots in the chat?
Just look. Like, it's kind of funny. Like, I didn't notice it until now. Yeah, I got just hide them all. Whatever. We don't got time for that.
I'll check them out later.
Yeah, check them out later. I'm also expecting PlayStation to do the same too. A lot of enhancements, Last of Us Part 2, all that stuff. Like, I think a lot they'll enhance those games. Like, I've been thinking, like, for Gears, ray tracing, and like 120 frames mode. You know, like actual 4K. Maybe not 120 frames at 4K, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they've talked about how the Series X can support 120 frames. So I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft's first party tries to be the one that do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it's cool because, like, and that's the other kind of part I want to talk about. Like, their marketing since the Series X reveal, to me, has been completely on point, right? You have them coming out when nobody expected them except for me and you, because I said on the podcast that day, hey, Series X is going to be, I didn't know the name, but, like, you know, at Siri, no, be quiet, Siri. I didn't ask for you. She never listened. I'm surprised that she woke up, but I was like, hey, I think it's a good chance that Xbox, the next Xbox is revealed at the VGAs, right? And it was, and, you know, they were pretty quiet for the month of January, but then Phil last week obviously dropped the specs. People started talking about stuff, and obviously all the PS5 counter, like, now PS5's 14 teraflops, 13 teraflops is going to get revealed real soon, you'll see, and it never, of course, happens because none of these guys know shit, right? And now I see people, like, teasing something happening. Like, I've heard behind the scenes that something's going down next week, even though, like, I don't know what's happening next week. I hear something's happening regarding Xbox next week, but I'm not sure. And I think Microsoft is just, like, they look at, like, what they did wrong last time, where it was like they let Sony get all the positive press with their February reveal. They went in May and obviously stunk the joint up. And it's like, what do we need to do to change people's opinions about Xbox and what we're doing? Games obviously is a start, and Ori's going to come out next week and get incredible reviews. But constantly being in the news, especially when your competitor in the field, the PlayStation, is more than willing to just not say anything. Like, they're going to be quiet until they want to say something. So it's like, you might as well come out and just talk about stuff. You know what I mean? Like, if you got stuff to say, which they do, I mean, that, you know, they have more information about Series X specs. Like, we still don't know the CPU clock. We still don't know how much RAM or the type of RAM it'll be in it. Some of the more, you know, finer specifications. Hell, they haven't even talked about Xbox Lockhart yet, even though, like, that system drives Jez crazy, right?
It does.
Because it's like this system that we know is real. Like, I know is real. But, like, nobody is talking about it. And they're even when I say this on the podcast or in videos, they'll be like, it's not real, Rand. Digital Foundry said it wasn't. I mean, Digital Foundry literally did a video, like, last week or a couple days ago, where they talked about how a theoretical 4 teraflop Lockhart and how it would do. And they basically said, yeah, it could do next-gen stuff. Right? Like, there's that to reveal. There's all the first-party games. Like, what is Playground's second RPG? What is the Initiative working on? What is Obsidian's AAA project? What is an Exile's AAA project? You know, like...
God, there's so many mysteries, really, thinking about it.
I know, right? But, like, people just sit there and they just want to be like, well, Battletoads... fuck you and your fucking Battletoads. You know what I mean? They always cherry pick the Grounded. Yeah, Grounded ain't for me. I think
Grounded looks great.
Yeah, I don't think Grounded ain't for me, but it's like everything that Xbox does right, these people intentionally don't look at, and they'll just immediately go for the worst aspects of Xbox. It's like, no, none of this other stuff exists. But do you see Grounded and Battletoads? Holy shit, they're garbage. And it'd be like the same thing if it was PlayStation, where like, yeah, like God of War and Last of Us don't exist, but hey, did you see, Concrete Dreams and Knack and stuff? Even though Concrete Dreams is actually a decent game. It's ridiculous. Right? Like, I don't get it.
Fanboy's gonna fanboy, man.
Yeah, fanboy's gonna fanboy. I mean, can you imagine building your channel and your brand on just hate and just hate? Ugh. Like,
I mean, at least they've got a channel to push. There's a lot of people who just do it for free, screaming into the ether with like 5 followers, jumping into random conversations and getting mad about it. Grown adults getting mad about plastic boxes. You know, they ain't even got a channel to push.
That's the worst.
It's so sad. It's so sad.
And they're in. I see them all the time. I get tagged and stuff, and it's just like some dude with like an anime picture and 2 followers and stuff, or like an angry Ellie picture from Last of Us 2 saying some stupid shit. And it's just like, you guys are basically stereotypes at this point. You're just stereotypes, you know. So
yeah,
like I'm much rather look at the positive aspects or the things that I like rather than like dwell on the shit that I don't like, because I want to be excited when I talk about video games, when I talk about like what Sony's making, because I am excited about the games they make, but I'm also excited about literally what Xbox is doing, because primarily I'm an Xbox gamer. I'm an Xbox-centric channel. So like, it matters to me. And I want to see them do good, and I think they are doing good. Do I think everything's going to be amazing? Of course not. Microsoft needs to shore up some things, but I'm super excited about what they're going to be doing in the future. And there are some things, like I said, I don't like. Yeah, Battletoads, Grounded. I don't give 2 shits about those games, but I'm not going to sit there and complain about them and say that this is the future, when it's like, it's the same people like Bleeding Edge. Oh my god, Bleeding Edge, it's look what they turned Ninja Theory into. And I knew that they were working on something AAA behind the scenes. Even like, and then there's this whole discussion about AAA, like, oh, there's only 40 people, it bothers me, Jazz.
You're salty today.
It bothers me, dude, because I get tagged in all this bullshit, right? And it's like, if you want to be negative, go right ahead. But I'm not going to do that, okay? Because, you know what? Like, it's one thing to be critical of things you love. And I've been critical. God knows I've been critical. You should see some of the messages I've sent to Phil being critical of Xbox, right? Like, because people think here, oh, because you don't speak out. Like, I'm like, no. Like, I directly go to people when I have a problem. That's the difference between me and you. You're complaining on Twitter, and that feedback will get nowhere.
Well, that's
right?
the difference, really. Like, Sony doesn't really directly engage like Xbox does.
No, but like, when I have an issue or my feedback, I directly go to the people I know that my voice will be heard. And it's some of the stuff I've said to Phil, like, Phil didn't, like, I have a pretty good relationship with Phil, right? I talk to him a couple times a month, et cetera, right? And I've known him for quite some time. There were times, and you know this, he didn't talk to me for like 6 or 7 months because I said some harsh things to him. You know what I mean? Like, my feedback to him, after E3, I basically gave him my feedback because he always asked for it. I'm like, yeah, this E3 was horrible. Like, I don't know what you guys were thinking. Like, there was nothing good about this E3 whatsoever. Like, I'm not the one sitting there like, no, this E3 was the best thing of all time. You know, it bothers me to the extent where it's like, look, I'll be positive about it because I want to talk about the stuff that makes me excited, right? I can't do the negative bullshit because then it just brings down my entire, like, passion of this hobby of video games. Like, I can't do that shit. I just can't. Because if I'm negative about everything that's happening, then I don't want to play video games. And video games is my hobby. It's my joy. It's the greatest thing in the world. And, I mean, maybe that's why these people that are super negative don't play a goddamn fucking game anyways. You look at their gamer score, it's blocked. You can't see what they're fucking playing, right? And when you do see what they're playing, they ain't playing shit. These people that talk about, oh, Death Stranding's best new IP made it to Chapter 5. Like, it's funny, the people that complain and bitch the most are the ones who don't play a goddamn fucking thing. You know what I mean? And
Hey, man.
I don't know.
I see this a lot in like. Do you see this in every community? Like a lot of people bitch and complain about World of Warcraft a lot, for example, and like it's kind of like, well, stop playing it then. You don't have to try and bring everyone else down with you. Maybe you just don't like gaming anymore. Maybe you just don't like the game anymore. But what can you do? That's what people are gonna bitch, man.
Yeah, they always do. Sin Vendetta with the super chat says, Rand, do you think Microsoft will partner with Digital Foundry for the rest of the spec reveal on the Series X like they did for the One X? That's a very interesting. I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if they did something very similar. I think Microsoft really liked the optics of the Digital Foundry Xbox One X spec analysis, Jez, right?
Yeah.
I
think like it was cool because it was like they're trusted and they're highly technical and they're independent of Microsoft. So if they're saying like positive things, then it's okay for Microsoft to make a video and be like, look at all the technical prowess we can put forward, because obviously they're going to say that because they got a product to sell. But if an independent person says it, then it has a bit more weight, right?
Right. I could see them doing it with Series X. I could even see them doing like a deep dive of Lockhart, because I think Lockhart definitely needs to be explained better, right? And not only haven't explained it at all, but like we know what Series X is. It's a premium console. They've talked about it, but like here's this other console that supposedly is way weaker, and I think like you would need tech heads in a way to talk about that system and properly kind of explain, that what the system is, what it can do, that it does, there's no concerns about all that stuff. So I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, you might be onto something there, Sin Vendetta, that like Digital Foundry partners with Xbox and does a deep look into like Lockhart in the future or something. That I would not be shocked whatsoever at all. 9 Lives with the super chat. Thank you very much. He says 100. And that's always we do here. Try to keep everything 100, So
100.
100, truthful.
Emoji.
Monty says Rand starting to sound like Jim Sterling. I don't know if that's a compliment or not. I mean, I do watch Jim Sterling from time to time. I don't always watch his videos because there's just some stuff I'm not interested in, but I do like Jim Sterling.
Jim Sterling terrifies me.
Does he? Really?
It does. He scares me. I don't know. It just scares me. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So I think the Xbox marketing has been pretty on point regarding the console, and I did mention this before we did the podcast. Like, I don't think Ori's getting the marketing it deserves. And you said, well, it's because it's not AAA; it's a 2D game. and I honestly think you're right on that aspect. I do think there's levels of like investment and marketing. Like clearly, Halo's Halo, and it'll get more marketing than Gears got. And Gears got a lot of marketing, but nowhere near as much as like Forza Horizon 4 did. Well, I think Gears got more marketing than Forza Horizon 4, but definitely. It works for everybody. Like Last of Us 2 will get ridiculous marketing, and Concrete Genie got nothing. Basically, hell, they dropped.
Like Ori will potentially market itself to some degree, kind of like Cuphead did. The fact that Ori's going to Steam is great. Free marketing. Like I always said that I don't think Cuphead would have blown up like it did if it didn't hit Steam. The fact like I logged onto Steam earlier to play something and there was an Ori advert slapped right in my face. So it is getting pushed in the right places. And I think like if they try to market it to a broader audience, I think a lot of normies would probably be turned off by the fact it's 2D. I think like all those like Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty, sort of FIFA, Fortnite players. I don't know if like you can market something that's 2D to normies like that. Could be wrong. I don't know. But I think those games tend to find their audiences without heavy marketing. Games like Shovel Knight, Cuphead, so on.
Like Hollow Knight and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Dead Cells, for example. Like Dead Cells didn't need a huge amount of marketing, but it found its audience because it's great, you know. Stuff like that.
So you think like as long as Ori's good and has great reviews and it's coming on Game Pass and on Steam, like by the virtue of it being a great game, presumably that people will just find it just because like word of mouth will just spread. So it doesn't necessarily it'll find its audience. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and you know what other thing I saw this week, Jez, that blew my mind is Half-Life Alyx.
All right.
Did you see the gameplay for it?
Yes, I have seen the gameplay for it. It definitely looks like the first true AAA VR game.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I
have a VR headset, PC. It's in my drawer gathering dust as we speak. I'm probably going to dust it off to play this.
God, I want to play that game so bad. And it's like
Do you have a VR headset?
No, I don't. I mean, I have a PSVR. Obviously, it's not coming to PSVR. And if it was, I would obviously bust out my PSVR and play it immediately. But I understand now.
Why don't you sell that PSVR and put it towards, you know, one of the lower end VR headsets? You know, because it's like you're not going to need full blown beacon tracking for that game. You can just play it with a Windows mixed reality headset.
Yeah,
because it's like you teleport around. And
I wonder if I have a good enough PC to run Half-Life Alyx. I got a 1080. I got a i7 7700K.
I think that's good enough.
I think it'll be good enough, but like
it's a Source engine too, right?
But like
it's pretty optimized.
I was originally because I never thought we'd get another Half-Life, one of my favorite franchises, and I made sure Sean put a Half-Life picture in the reel, right? But like I was so like disappointed when it was like, yeah, we're doing another Half-Life game and it's VR, and I was like, no, you know what I mean?
No.
But then watching the videos and because the dev said, oh, this game could only be done in VR, right? And I'm like, bull. And then I watched the video, I'm like, yeah, like
maybe.
Dude,
when they're like, she's manipulating like loads of objects, using things as cover, like random objects, using them as cover, like connecting things up to the gun and stuff like that. Like I've been on record on this podcast multiple times about being a VR skeptic, but my God, that looks pretty amazing. My problem always is being with VR is that it makes me sick, but I will say that like the games that make you the least sick are the ones that sort of let you teleport to a position and then sort of there's probably like a real word for it. I don't know what it is, but like you teleport around basically, and then you can play it sitting down. You don't have to physically move. It's like tank controls almost, kind of like what's that game called now? Arizona Sunshine and Doom VR 2 does it as well. Does it very well. But like there are games like Minecraft VR, for example, which are just like they are super sickness inducing because when you move around, you're actually sort of moving around as you would be in the regular game with a joystick. And that makes you sick because your brain thinks you're in one place, but then your body's moving where your thumb's pointing. It's hard to explain, really. But I think like Half-Life Alyx is probably one game that probably won't make me feel sick. So I'm pretty looking forward to that.
Yeah, I was just watching the footage where she like gets down behind the car and pulls out the car door for protection and like breaks the boxes. Yeah, like it's just I want to play Half-Life again so bad. It's been so long. And like to hear the sounds when like one of the Combine guys die or whatever, that sound you always hear, and like head crabs and stuff. Buzzing. And then like it really seems like they're getting back because like Death Stranding officially got revealed for, well, not officially got revealed for PC, but the date got revealed, right? It's coming to PC on June 3rd, and they got a crossover with Half-Life, right?
Yeah, the head crab. Yeah,
yeah.
That's funny.
And it's funny because I was on, even though like I don't particularly care for the website, I was on Error last night, just browsing some stuff, and like there was a thread about like the exclusive PC exclusive photo mode, right? That they bring into the PC, and like there was these like there were some people so pissed off that at the thought of that being exclusive to PC because it was a PlayStation game first. Like it's not PC exclusive. Like obviously there's no confirmation if it was. It was just like that's coming to PlayStation 2. Like it was just these like insecure little like dudes just like no, Kojima will bring that to PlayStation. Like you know what like. Oh man, it's just I don't know. I just kind of
it's exhausting.
I had a nice little laugh about that, but so GDC was postponed, Jez.
Yes, it was.
Obviously, because of the virus. Microsoft.
The virus that shall not be named.
Microsoft. I don't know if you saw. Well, Google canceled a big event, like their I/O event or whatever it is,
Google
or whatever
I/O,
it's called. Yeah. Oh, I read from Tom Warren a few days ago that Microsoft canceled their big MVP summit.
Yep, MVP summit is cancelled, and Microsoft employees have been given the clear to work from home.
Given the clear from work from home. So part of me is like, what's up with E3? Because the organizers said they're full steam ahead and it's not going to be canceled. But it's starting to look like I even saw James Bond.
Think, like,
James Bond literally just delayed the movie from April to November because of the virus concerns.
I think like the E3 dudes are hoping that the virus will play out by then. And there's a school of thought that says that if when it warms up in the spring, that will usually help, help with resistance to the virus or whatever. But the virus that shall not be named, kind of like Voldemort. But there's every chance. There's also a school of thought that the warmer temperatures could even make it worse. So I think the E3 organizers are probably just hoping that it'll have blown over by then. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Could have like a full-blown division scenario on our hands here.
And then we very well could, like, that could be real. So it's like E3 could, because people are expecting, the summer heat will kill off the virus and all this stuff. But if it doesn't, how does it affect, the rollout of press reveals? Like, if Microsoft is canceling MVP events, right? And if they're supposed to have a press event for Xbox Series X reveal next month, like we've kind of thought, does that get delayed somehow? Do they do it differently? Does Sony need to change what they're doing if they're not? Do you still invite a handful of press and that's okay to the Microsoft Redmond campus? Do you just do a stream where it's just like you and a couple people talking? You don't really need an audience. Like, how do you think that's all going to affect everything?
It's funny because this whole sort of virus that shall not be named thing is like going to lead to like loads of interesting experiments. For example, they've detected that like there are hundreds of millions of tons less greenhouse gases being emitted from China because everyone's staying at home and nobody's driving and stuff like that. So how's that's going to affect like climate change models and all that sort of stuff? But at the same time, it's kind of like if they cancel all these events and shows like E3 and they're just like, well, we'll just do digital streaming and stuff, and they find that like the engagement is the same, that could like permanently change the way that they view this stuff. If it's like, well, we don't need to do anything in person because that's expensive and we have to give the ESA loads of money. Let's just go full blown digital like Nintendo. I don't know though. It could just be a load of nothing, because let's remember that the virus that shall not be named barely has higher lethality than any Like I think it's like 6% or something.
So you think people are just they're just freaking out about nothing?
Well, I'm not saying that because it is highly infectious, and the fact that it's got like up to 2 weeks no symptoms incubation period. That's the problem, really. Like you can be walking around spreading the virus for 2 weeks and not even know about it, and then you spread it to people who are vulnerable, like the elderly or young kids and stuff, or people with underlying conditions. That is dangerous, and that is serious. You know, that aspect is serious about it.
Yeah.
But the whole like apocalypse scenario, that's less real. You know.
Yeah, I think they go full on with E3 unless like it like you said, it becomes like this like division scenario where it's like everybody's infected, then clearly they won't, and who knows if consoles will then even come out this year, if they'll get delayed to next year, or when the reveals are and how that would change. It's definitely interesting to keep in mind. And I do have a question from the Ravenflow that I got to read off here from the Super Chat. It says, didn't Matt Booty say that certain games made sense to go to other platforms for their appeal, like Ori, Super Lucky's Tale, and Cuphead going to Switch? Yeah, he did say that. He said that, but then like also later on they said that like Ori was the last Xbox exclusive that was gonna go off platform, if I'm not mistaken, right, Jez?
Yeah, I mean it was a good experiment at the time, but now they've got like xCloud kind of changes things, right? xCloud could become their Switch-esque platform, so like it's sort of things have changed now. So I don't know. We'll see.
And the Ravenflow also says, I believe it said 6 months for the vaccine. I think I heard like in a year or something like that, but I don't really know. I don't really know. But anyways, you know what? I think we ran out of some topics. We'll probably end the show a little bit early, but we'll take some questions. So if you guys want to ask us some stuff, type it in chat. We will get to it. And if you're dropping out of the show, we appreciate you being here. Hope you really enjoyed it. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button before you leave. Shout out to everybody listening to this later on Google Play or SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes. Hope you guys are having a great week or a great day whenever you're listening to this. And,
by the way, Ron.
Yes.
We are in the top 100 leisure podcasts in Germany.
The top 100 leisure podcasts in Germany, huh?
Yes, on iTunes.
That's apparently an interesting stat. Why Germany?
I got a random email from some random analytics company who wanted me to give them money to learn more of our podcast stats, and they gave me a small sample, and yeah, that was among the stats.
Interesting, very interesting. So yeah, we'll be back next week, Wednesday. Maybe Friday, depending on how things shake out. But we're gonna get some questions, and L. Paul wants to know, hey Rand, why'd you let Greeny run around in a onesie? Yeah, did you see that? Aaron was running around in a Ori onesie, not just a regular onesie that they were selling and we've seen for a year, but one that was like Ori related.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
And then someone
they named an owl.
Yeah, they're naming an owl, right?
I'm disappointed that Owly McOwlface wasn't an option.
Damn Ollie McOwlface. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. Someone's like, don't you want that onesie? I'm like, no, I don't. I am not a fan of that onesie. I definitely do not want one, and if I got one, I would never wear it at all. So, Jay Slayer says, Rand, talk about your September release for Series X. So yes, I said in my video that like I wouldn't be surprised if Series X launched early. I wouldn't be surprised if it like obviously with the virus, who knows how it affects production, but I wouldn't be surprised if Series X launched in September, and not necessarily waiting until November. And I know that Microsoft is saying holiday 2020, but I don't know. I get the sense that maybe they could say, oh, surprise, you thought it was holiday 2020, but wouldn't you like to have it in September? Like, that's the thing about this holiday, right? Like, I'm looking forward to the new consoles a lot. But man, there's a lot of games that'll come out in September, October, and even November before the new consoles release. And it's like, I want to play those games on Series X because it'll be a better experience because the system's more powerful, so I can run those games better. But wouldn't it just be so much better and easier if the system was already out then? What do you think, Jez?
Indeed. Sorry, I was just sorting an email out.
Okay, sorting an email. We get it. Kendall Galbraith says, "Did y'all hear about the Blinks remake?" A Blinks remake, Jez? You hear anything about a Blinks remake? I haven't heard anything.
Isn't Blinks your favorite IP?
No, definitely not.
No, I think it is.
No, definitely not. Don't.
I'm sure I heard that Blinks is your favorite.
I used to tease Phil with that, but I'm pretty sure Phil doesn't like Blinks either.
I think Phil told me that it was your favorite IP.
No, it definitely wasn't. Thanaros wants to know, hey, how do you think Bleeding Edge will do? Well, Jez will like Bleeding Edge a lot.
Man, actually, I can't even say. Never mind.
You can't, Jez. What can't you say? Are you hiding things from me? What's going
on? Maybe.
That's not fair.
There might be some cool Bleeding Edge things happening soon.
Well, I mean, the game does come out in 20 days.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Like the last closed beta is on March 13th. I'm like, when I played we talked about it before, but when I played the closed alpha, I was kind of like, it's pretty cool. But then when I played the closed beta, like they tidied up a lot of what I didn't like about it, and the time to kill was improved and all that sort of stuff. I actually had a lot more fun with it. So now I've got sort of like high hopes for it. I think like it could actually do pretty well. But we'll see.
You know how we were just talking about the E3 situation? I see Game Industry Biz just tweeted, update, with Los Angeles having declared a state of emergencies, ESA's E3 team is actively assessing the virus situation, right?
Oh my God.
Jason Schreier then retweeted that and says, if E3 2020 is canceled and the video game publishers wind up doing digital events instead, I expect most of them to look at how little they lose by not being there and how much money they save and follow Sony lead in ditching E3 permanently. Big
I literally just said that
moment here. That's why I'm reading it, because you pretty much did. You pretty much said exactly that.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how that all plays out. Let's see.
Maybe they'll listen to our podcast.
Maybe. I doubt Jason even knows who we. Well, Jason knows who you are. I doubt he knows who.
I don't think he knows who I am.
I don't know.
No. Forgotten.
And he definitely doesn't know who I am. I think Bleeding Edge will be fine. It'll find its audience on Game Pass. People will like it. I don't think it becomes a big thing or anything.
It's kind of like I've seen some fairly big channels cover it, like a Rex Gaming covered Bleeding Edge, but I think he also covered Sea of Thieves, which, you know, Sea of Thieves tends to like blow up for a little while and then goes back away when, like, depending on what streamers are doing. Like, it kind of feels like streamers come back to play the new content for Sea of Thieves and then get bored and move on. Like, did you see the new content that's coming to Sea of Thieves soon? We didn't actually talk about this.
No, I didn't. So what's going on?
So, like, they put out like a news video today and showed off like the new Tall Tale, which is like this crazy volcano dungeon underground, and there's like all these traps and like buzzsaws flying around. Looks almost like a classic RPG dungeon. So that was like pretty compelling, and also like a bunch of new weapons and stuff like that, like grenades and stuff like that. I can't even remember the full details, but yeah, there's a bunch of new content coming to Sea of Thieves, and it'll probably, like, streamers will pick it up again because of that. So I expect like Bleeding Edge will be the same sort of deal, where like people play it for a little while and then go away and then come back when they add new content and stuff like that. I don't know. We'll see. But that's the thing about Game Pass; it lets you do that.
That is true. So Joe 12 Dan James says, "Is there any chance Xbox buys Sega?" I don't think so. I don't think they buy Sega. Let's see. Damn Good 75 says, "Rand, do you want to bet Xbox Series X will be 600?" I honestly think 600 is too much. I know people will say, well, cell phones sell for 1,000, 1,200. I still think consoles are a different market, and the people who buy it are like, consoles just aren't as necessary as phones, and I think there's a lot of sticker shock at 600. There's a lot of bad history surrounding that price point. So I'm expecting Series X to be $500. I don't think it reaches 600. Jazz, you kind of feeling the same on that, right?
Yeah, I think the same. I would be. Well, it's like it all depends on Lockhart, really.
Yeah, that is
like
true.
If Lockhart lets them say we have the cheapest next gen system, maybe they could reach a little higher. But again, I think they don't want to push it. I think this is the whole point of Series X is like reinvigorating and stuff like that, and building on the momentum that the One X had and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
I think 500 is the sweet spot.
I think it is too. QV Vampire says, "Do you think Lockhart is being held back for PS5 specs and price so they can counter it?"
We've talked about that offline, right?
What?
I think the fact that they could be holding it back to like put it up directly against the PS5 is another option. I think that could be possible. We talked about that before.
Yeah. I think, see, the purpose of Lockhart to me, it's like, is its price. If it's like, that's the, like, you come out and you talk about Series X because it's the most powerful, can do all this stuff, right? That's the big boy. But Lockhart's like whole thing is like, it's just cheap and it can run on the next gen games. So I don't think it's necessarily being held back for PlayStation 5 specs and price, because maybe I'm not sure when Sony is going to talk about that stuff, and maybe Sony never talks about specs for the PlayStation 5. You know, like Microsoft really didn't talk about specs for the Xbox One because Sony went out first and was like, "Yo, we got this amount of RAM, we got this amount of teraflops," and Microsoft's like, "Yo, we got 4 billion transistors," which means nothing because they knew they couldn't talk about specs because Sony had them beat. And so if that situation kind of holds true, which I think it might, because personally, I think Xbox Series X is more powerful than PlayStation 5. Now, I don't know if that's by a single teraflop or 2 teraflops or 3 or what have you. I think it's just, it's a more powerful system. Sony may not want to actually mention, you know, the specs in that raw form, like, oh, it has 9 teraflops compared to the Series X's 12. They'll talk about maybe how their SSD is faster, which might be a thing, right? Or they'll talk maybe about how they have more bandwidth, you know, or maybe more RAM or something where like they have more of. And I don't think Lockhart is being kept back to counter the specs, because the specs on Lockhart won't be as good at all. Like the rumors are Lockhart's what? A 4 teraflop machine?
4
and
teraflop.
Even at the lowest side with the GitHub leak, the PS5 is a 9.2, but most people think it's above that. So, I mean, you're talking about like, yeah, they're not even close, you know, like and then you don't even talk about the RAM and all that stuff. So, I don't think it's being held back for that purpose. But yeah, I mean, I think we'll hear about Lockhart soon.
The whole point of Lockhart is like Lockhart's the strategic play. You know, like Lockhart's if they are still going ahead with it, it's the strategic play. So I don't know.
I
feel like the fact they're keeping it close to their chest means they're trying to be like a little bit more sneaky about it.
I think we'll hear about Lockhart soon. I don't think they can keep all this stuff under wraps for long. You know, like I'm expecting a reveal event for all this stuff next month. But like I don't know with the virus stuff, like if that's still in the cards. I don't know how much that guys changes it. Boom and Yang wants to know, it's like, hey, you guys speak about the rumor of the PlayStation 5 Pro. I don't know, did you hear any of that, Jazz? Like the PS5 that's coming out now is just the base PS5, and there's supposed to be a Pro that's even more powerful than the X and even more expensive. Like,
I'm sure they will release a PlayStation 5 Pro down the line, but like this year, I don't think so. But who knows? You know, crazy things have happened. But at the same time, I'm kind of thinking, well, then they're releasing 2 high-end systems, but then at the same time, Samsung does that every year with their bloody phones. So we live in crazy times, man. Yeah. I think anything could happen, really.
Shane Tomlin asks me, hey, did you see Zalker's last video? Don't you think he is a little bitch for asking all them questions at the end? He released his video when I was getting ready for the podcast, so I didn't see. So you would have to put in the chat exactly what did Zucker say, because I haven't watched it. Like, did he say something about how, like, should he play video games? Because if that's a question, I would say, yeah, he probably should. Other than that, I mean, I don't know. Did he have questions about me? Was he asking questions about me? I don't know. David Cohen says, hey, do you think it's possible the Series X will be the most expensive? I mean, I guess that's... I think it's the most powerful system. Now, whether that equates to being the most expensive is yet to be seen. I mean, I guess there's a chance it could be $550 or $600 with the other systems being cheaper. So I still am going to go with Series X for $500, which is kind of why I made that video yesterday with my predictions in it. Patrick Gonzalez wants to know, hey, Rand, when will we be able to purchase or pre-order Series X? And I want to know that too. Jazz, when are we going to be able to pre-order this thing, man?
I mean, presumably after the reveal event. Like, I don't know. Sometimes they do that and they announce that at E3, don't they? Like, and now it's available to pre-order now. I think they did that with the X. It was available to pre-order after their E3 show.
No, Xbox One X wasn't, remember?
Wasn't it?
Nope. The pre-orders did not open up for that until I think after Gamescom.
Oh, really? Was it the 1S then?
It might have been the 1S, because I think the 1S was out almost right away, or was it out maybe months later? I think 1S was coming out later. Maybe somebody in chat will let us know, but I'm pretty sure the 1X pre-orders did not go live after E3, and in fact, they didn't talk about those until like that Gamescom, I want to say.
I'm just sort of like remembering when we've written those pre-order this, articles and stuff. And I just feel like I remember writing one of those after E3 I don't know.
Sir Bloodraven says, who's the next Xbox game studio to announce a game, Jez? If you had to guess.
Ooh.
Who is the
interesting.
Next one?
Oh, that's really interesting question. I like that question. It's got me thinking.
Because there's rumors about tomorrow at an AMD thing where Turn 10 will show off an unnamed racing game that probably is Forza Motorsport 8, which I don't know if it's true, but
I guess like that's a high probability of being true. But like, if we discount that one because that's an existing rumor, I suppose you could like. It goes back to what we were saying before about who leads E3, because presumably they're going to do the big AAA announcements during their E3 show.
Mm-hmm.
And I was saying that the initiative might lead, and you were saying someone else might lead.
I was saying at my E3, I start with Fable from Playground, and I end with Perfect
Fable.
Dark from the Initiative.
Yeah, so I was saying the opposite, I think. So, who knows? But the thing is, like, didn't they just, like, announce some games, like, completely randomly?
Well,
like,
Project Mara was announced.
Yeah, that was, like, completely random.
And is it possible they do, like, a new game announced at a reveal event, if there is one? I mean, Matt Booty and Phil talked about how there wouldn't be a new game announcement at any of the, at all. Like, there'll be a new game announcement at all the shows going forward because they got so much. So, I mean, if there is a reveal event, do you reveal also a new game?
It's like it's so different compared to what we had before. Like, I know it's been a slow burn and it's taken time to ramp up, but when all the studios, the Xbox Game Studios, do finish ramping up, we're gonna get game after game after game after game, and they'll arrange those launch dates to sort of keep us satisfied. There won't be like a drought period in the future like we've had throughout this gen occasionally. There's just going to be like game after game after game. So I don't know, basically, is what I'm saying.
I don't know. Let's see what else we got. We got a few more questions. It's there's so many. It's just hard to pick one. I'll just say Fable. I'll say Playground's game gets announced first, or is the next one to get announced.
So I don't think In Exile is going to announce their next game until Wasteland 3 is out the door.
Yeah,
because like they've also got contractual obligations with Deep Silver, who are publishing that. They won't want to take focus off Wasteland 3, for example. And then you've got like, I don't know. But then again, like they announced Bleeding Edge and Hellblade alongside each other as well. But they're also very different games. So it's hard because there could be like studios with multiple projects that don't really have so much overlap. Like Bleeding Edge and Hellblade 2 don't have so much overlap. So it's okay to announce both of those in tandem. But if Wasteland in Exile announced like another RPG before they've even got Wasteland 3 out of the door, that's a bit weird.
Well, I also thought it was a good thing to announce Hellblade for the people that like Ninja Theory but don't care about Bleeding Edge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, here's Bleeding Edge, but don't worry, like, here's what you really want coming at some point. Nighthawk says, do you think the rumors of the PlayStation 5 Pro being a thing at launch, and could it be more powerful than Series X? We kind of thought it's not a thing at launch. I mean, obviously, but I mean, if there is a PS5 Pro, I would expect it to be more powerful than Series X. But I'm expecting a Pro like 3 to 4 years from now. Because like the way they talk about it is like there'd be a PS5 and a Pro. So the PS5's $500 and whatever the specs are, and then the Pro is like $100 or $200 more. It's like that doesn't really make a lot of sense. So you're gonna have a $500 and a $700 system, or a $600 system, or a $400 and a $500 system, or a $400 and $600 system. Like, I don't know. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Like, I get why Microsoft's strategy with Lockhart, but like two powerful systems that are really expensive at the same, like, I don't know. I do think there'll be a Pro at some point. I just don't think it'll be at launch. Let's see what else here. Damn Good wants to know, Rand, what about the AMD and Microsoft meeting that's happening tomorrow? Jez, do you know more info about this? Like, isn't tomorrow like AMD's like investor show or something? Or something like
honestly, someone in Essential was covering this, so I don't actually know that much about it. But there is something AMD-ish going down.
There's
and
something.
Like,
I think they're talking about RDNA 2 tomorrow, right?
Yeah, and like someone posted that some details from the show supposedly saying that,
like somebody like watched the rehearsal and that Phil was there and he's gonna say something, and that Turn 10 was showing off Forza with ray tracing, and was it like Playground was there showing off Forza Horizon 4 with like new tech, and that they also showed off a forest from like Fable, but not called Fable and not called Forza Motorsport 8, and it was just like the tech in the cloud. Like, I don't know. Like, obviously we'll find out tomorrow if it's true. I have my doubts, because I did see Kloberl. He said, hey, I think this might be true, and then he said, oh, never mind, I investigated it, and I don't think it's true. So, maybe it's like half true. Maybe Turn 10's there and they talk about ray tracing, or maybe none of it's true and it's just a guy like all these PS5 insiders that say they know something and clearly don't know anything, and are just like making shit up. And a lot of these people, I would imagine, are just seeing like, I'm gonna say something and then just a random post on Reddit or Pastebin and watch all these idiots like dance to my tune like I'm the puppet master, right?
The puppet master.
Yeah. Let's see. Face wants to know, hey, if both the PS5 and Series X is 500, will that put Sony in a jam if Series X is a significant power difference? I think maybe marketing-wise it would, but like, I don't think it'll affect Sony. Like, I've said, even if Series X and PS5 are the same price and Series X is like significantly more powerful, so let's just imagine for the sake of the argument that PS5 is 9. Let's say the GitHub leak was true, right? And it was 9.2 and Series X is 12. Yeah, that's a significant power difference for the same price, but I think Sony could overcome that. Realistically, Xbox couldn't, and they didn't this gen, clearly, when they were overpriced and underpowered. But I think PlayStation could. I think it would be tight here in the United States. Obviously, like, I think it's no contest overseas. Like, they'll just dominate Europe regardless. But like, I think with that, it'd be much closer in the States, like sales wise. But I do think I do think Sony would be like, man, how do we really market this? And I think they would probably go in all with their like, hey, like we have the games and the games that you want to play and stuff. And like you wouldn't see Yoshida coming out and say 1080p makes you a better gamer, you know, or like any of the stuff that they did at the beginning of this generation, right? Ryan Landis wants to know, any chance the Xbox standard controller will have back buttons like the Elite controller? I mean, we've only seen the front, and they've only talked about it having a share button, right?
Yeah, I don't think it has back paddles. I feel like they would have announced that. They basically talked about everything that it's got. Grips, share button, stuff like that. I mean, we don't know if it's got internal batteries as well, I guess. I did try and find that out, but nothing to report yet. But yeah, I don't think it's got back buttons. I think that's going to be like the configurability of the Elite controller is one of its selling points. So I think that's where it stays.
No, I gotta give a shout out, Jez, to the friend of the podcast, my buddy James Shields. Since we're talking about controllers, he got a promotion at Xbox from Xbox accessory marketing to Xbox hardware planning.
Nice.
So, James, you know, when you're thinking about what hardware you need to do, like, you know my address. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm always down for feedback and stuff. Congratulations, buddy. I can't wait to see what you guys cook up in the future. And I was right.
Speaking of James Shields, what do you think of those new controllers? Did you see the magenta,
can I be honest?
the Phantom magenta?
Not a fan of either of them.
Really?
Not
I thought
a fan
the
of either
magenta one looked sweet, but then again,
I think the magenta one looks better. The camo one, not a fan at all. The magenta one, not a fan of the color. And I think they're going too hard on the see-through stuff. It's like they discovered, like, oh, we can do see-through. Let's make all the controllers see-through, right? Hasn't it kind of been like that? Like all the new controllers are see-through.
I love the see-through, man.
I mean, people do.
The Phantom, what is it? I can't remember it. The Phantom Black controller. I think that's my favorite controller of the whole gen.
Oh,
although, like mine's probably like pretty rough. Actually, I might do a retrospective of controllers. Like my Phantom Black controller is like pretty worse for wear. I pushed that controller pretty hard, but I really like the way it looks. It looks really cool.
Yeah, and ZX says I was right. The Xbox One pre-orders opened up on August 20th, 2017, so I was right.
My memory's not so good.
And Aquaman he asks, any update on the future of Mixer on the Xbox platform?
Ooh. Ooh, that's a bit of a teeth dryer. Like, ooh. I think like they're going to press ahead with it. Obviously, the drama from the other week was a bit of a setback. You know, it's a bit of a weird one. You know, I think a lot of content creators on the platform are kind of stuck. It's kind of like, do we quit Mixer and try and rebuild on Twitch? Because for a lot of those people, like their audiences just won't move, you know. And like even Ninja and like some of the people they bought from Twitch have seen their audiences decline because people just couldn't be bothered to move to platform, you know. They need a plan for Mixer and they need to execute it, because right now it's sort of like, what the hell, you know. It feels just kind of like it's ticking along and not really doing anything. Like we had like a burst of like big name hires, and then all of a sudden nothing, you know. So God knows what they're doing right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, have you talked to any partners? I mean, like they kind of got to be.
I talk to a lot of partners all the time about Mixer, and like, you know, there's a mixture of sort of like people who are anxious, people who are just sort of optimistic and like just want to keep going and stuff. And people who are frustrated with Microsoft's handling of it. Like there's been a lot of sort of, I don't know, turnover of staff, like new staff coming in, a lot of disruption to management. So like even if they did have a plan in place, actually like getting that executed adequately has not been so easy because of the churn. So I think it's another one of them wait and see. But I think we've discussed before that we don't really think Mixer's long for this world, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think they shut it down after X. I don't know. I think it's got a couple years left in them at most. I mean, honestly, like I said before, I think they should just shut it down tomorrow.
Wow.
But like that's just me. Like whatever. Like, and it's pretty.
I
harsh, but
like Mixer. I've had like a lot of fun streaming on Mixer, but it's kind of like it's one of those things where you either go all in or not bother. Like with Cortana, for example. Like Cortana's basically dead now, because they didn't go all in.
right.
And like with Ninja, it felt like they were going all in, but now it feels less so like they're going all in because the momentum is just gone. So it's kind of like either go all in or just quit because you're playing around with people's lives here. You're telling all these partners and stuff, oh, stick with us, and you need to earn their sort of faith, but with action. So like if Microsoft's gonna stick with Mixer, go all in and prove it. Don't play around with people's lives because a lot of these partners are like hoping that they can turn this into a career.
Yep.
If Microsoft isn't all in, then they're screwing around with people's lives, and I don't think that's very fair. So it is what it is.
Gain says, hey, what are your thoughts on Persona 5 not having an exclusivity deal but only being on PS4? I mean, look,
that's for Microsoft to fix.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if there are games, popular games like Persona that are arbitrarily not on Xbox, that's something Microsoft needs to solve with cold hard cash, and that's just. You're just gonna have to the only way to really fix that is to make noise about it, and prove that there's an audience there and that it's worth Microsoft's money to get those games on the system.
Mm-hmm.
But it is incredibly frustrating because, like we were talking earlier about what games we played on PS2, and like obviously Persona 3 and Persona 4 games that I played on PS2 back in the day. So I would like to see those games come to Xbox if they're arbitrarily not available on Xbox. But again, it's something you need to make noise about.
Yeah. Ryan Landis says, hey, when are you jumping back on Pokemon? Never. Ever. Ever. Jez might, but I'm never going to. Greg, he said...
I haven't touched it for ages,
Are you hoping for more mature content from Xbox with mature graphics, if you catch my drift? Yes, the
mature graphics.
Yeah, the non-grounded and like Battletoads stuff. Yeah, like AAA graphics as they're called or whatever. Or like there will be. I have no doubt. Like I'm sure. Like I guess it depends. Like we
talked about it before. Like Microsoft being afraid of anything that's sexy. That too.
Well, Hellblade's sexy. And Senwa's sexy, right?
I don't know.
I think there'll be plenty of that stuff. It's just, if people latch on to like, oh, Battletoads and Grounded, like whatever, and then they won't talk about the other ones. But hey, what else we got here? Let's see if I see anything else.
Bleeding Edge is quite sexy, I guess. Like Buttercup's pretty, like, thick.
I think that's all the questions. So, yeah, with all that said, that's going to be the podcast, guys. We appreciate everyone being here. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Check out me and Jez on Twitter. Everything should be in the description. And we'll be back next week with another show. Hopefully a lot more to talk about. Although I wouldn't be surprised, like at this point, E3 2020, they'll make an announcement like next week, like, oh yeah, it's canceled. And we'll be like, well, I guess everything's 2020's canceled. I don't know.
They can't. They wouldn't cancel it this far.
I know. I'm just saying.
Okay.
But yes. Yeah. Have a good rest of the week, guys. Keep a game, and we'll see you here next week. Later.